Hey, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations. Today, we're going to be breaking down the 10,000 hour principle and how you can apply it in your business. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations with Nick and Chris. Before we jump straight into today's topic, Nick, how are you this morning?
Well, very good, thank you, sir. I've been working on my caravan on the weekend, so
yes,
hours and hours and hours. I reckon by the time I finish, it'll be close to 10,000 hours, I reckon.
I reckon the conversation we had, the finicky detail that you're working on at the moment is, like I've said before to you, vintage caravans are a time suck machine. They just sap the hours when you're...
Yeah, if I was getting paid for hours spent, I'd have to sell the caravan for $1 million.
The $1 million caravan.
The $1 million caravan, yeah, exactly.
A pretty impressive caravan. Will be
Yeah.
So today we want to talk about the 10,000 hour principle. This is going to come off a story you're going to share with us for what you're doing in the weekend as well. So let's start with the story and then kind of work backwards from there.
First of all, I think just to set the frame up for the 10,000 hours, I think anything worth mastering means that you need to put the time and effort and energy in, right? I think that's important. So, when you consider it, some people go, well, it's 21 days to break a habit or form a new habit. I think it's probably 120 days, not 21 days plus, right? So, and it's the same, principle here. Malcolm Gladwell in the book Outliers spoke about, the 10,000 hour principle means that you need to spend 10,000 hours of practice in something to be able to master it. And, mastery just means that you can do it, at almost an unconscious level or unconsciously competent. So, you can get it done, pretty easily. And I think it goes from, being consciously, incompetent. I know I need to learn how to do that. Me with the caravan, I've never really done a caravan before. And consciously, I know that I'm incompetent at some stuff, but I'm giving it a shot anyway, right? So,
Sure.
Because there's a drive there and there's, something that I want to achieve, and I never start something and I don't finish it. So, that's my OCD in me. So, and then I think you go to, actually you start off with unconsciously incompetent. You don't even know that you don't know how to do it, and you go to consciously incompetent, and then I think you really go to unconsciously competent. So, you can do it in your sleep, right? You become so good at it that it just becomes, you don't even need to think about it unconsciously, competent, so that's kind of the progression forward. But, the reason why I thought about this topic today is I was just at the rodeo on Saturday night, and it was kind of a grand national title. And my friends go, hey, do you want to go to rodeo? I'm like, yeah, let's go to rodeo. And it was really awesome. I've never been to it. And it was at Wollongong Entertainment Centre. And I reckon there was about 3,000 or 4,000 people there or something, something like that. And it was really awesome. I've never been to something like that. So, and I've watched it on the TV, but it's a different story when you're there. These guys are just, balls of steel to do what they do. And, they really are. I mean, it's you're riding this 3-ton, ball of muscle that's angry, that's a whole thing. And, those guys are 100 kilos max, and this thing, it's throwing them around like it's not even, funny. And, there's all of these other clowns there and stuff like that, are the safety protectors for the guys. And, the bulls like this going to them as well, because they're just seeing red or whatever. I don't know. But, and it's funny, like the bulls kind of know that it's their time to go too, right? Like, because they're trained as well. Because I didn't know, because they got junior bull riding as well. So there's all the little bulls for the kids that are like, 10, 11, 9. I'm like, and that thing still, it's big for the kids, right? And but it's bucking and doing all of that stuff as well. So I did know that, but the bull starts young as well, and I don't know if it's unconsciously competent, but it's angry. That's about it, right? So, and it kind of got me thinking about, if rodeo riding, is a business, which it is for those guys. They're top pro riders. Red Bull sponsors them and all that stuff. The prize money was like $30,000 or something for that ride.
Right.
For like the 3 or 4 rides and points and all of that stuff. It kind of got me thinking about how do we apply that to business, and, both you and I have probably spent over 10,000 hours of education to get to where we're at to, and experience to where we're at to. So I just thought, I thought that principle was very timely, for today. And I wanted to kind of break it down into, in 5 or 6 categories so people get it and be able to use it. So,
yeah, great. I think, I want to touch on something as well where if people are trying things once or twice and giving up, and I want to kind of relate that back to business. You might have some examples later, but really where people are giving something a go in their business, whether it's like a messaging thing with their marketing, or whether they're trying a different sales skill or trying to upsell with their staff or something like that. And they fail on that first, second, maybe third attempt. In most cases, it's given away after that, and that's about it. But if you start thinking in terms of the depth of what sort of practice is required to get really good at things, that's when you can create a new understanding about what the 10,000 hour principle is really about, and knowing that you've got to put in the time to get the results. So I think that's important to throw in there at this point, to go, it's really a time under tension game if you're wanting to get really good at anything. So that's very important too. Right, let's start at the beginning. Number 1.
Yeah, look, number 1, I think you need to choose greatness. What I saw with these guys is, if you're going to do something, you don't want to kind of be mediocre at it. You don't want to go, I'll do it and we'll see what it is. And, with me, I like to call ourselves, we're more than just coaches. We're sort of artisans in this art of coaching, and we work towards it, and speaking and presenting and learning new stuff and sharing that and experiencing. And I saw that with the cowboys that were there. People think, they're kind of hicks and all of that. They're not. They're athletes. They need to train really, really hard. You can imagine. I mean, this thing's, like I said, I think they're like 3 or 4 ton. They're big, heavy, muscly, not fat, muscly. They're all muscle, because when they hit the ground, you can see them, like all their rib cages, and the muscle here in their arms, and it's pure muscle. Like, these aren't just chunky kind of cows. They're not
out grazing grass all day.
They're not out grazing grass. These guys are the deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when it's like that, you can see the cowboys hit the ground hard, bang, and then this thing's trying to stomp on them and stuff like that. So, and why I say, now, it's not for everyone. I'm not going to do that, because I know what's happening to me on that thing, and it's breaking bones or dislocating ribs, or your spine will be like this, right? But these guys are young, they're strong, and they're fit, right? You need to be. You're taking on that monster, just the same as what Formula One driver would be in a Formula One car, or a professional diver, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter, right? So I think you need to kind of choose greatness from the perspective of, really be in the game to go, I want to experience it at a really good level. I want to be able to, make sure that I'm, up there with, giving it your best shot more than anything. I'm not saying you're going to be, the best athlete in the world or whatever. It's not about that. It's more around saying, first of all, commit to choose greatness.
That's what I was going to mention there. It's kind of committing to the task, right? You got to commit.
Well, I think it's committing to, don't half-ass it. It's interesting. I'm like into samurai and stuff, and like samurai were great for a particular reason, and the reason being is, with a samurai, when you needed to kind of defend your title, or and because samurai went out to fight other samurai. That's how they did it. So they needed to be in a position where, you want to make sure that you're ready for the fight. The reason being is, there was no, we'll just shake hands after the fight. It was one person is alive and the other one's dead. That's kind of how it is. So you have to kind of choose greatness and do really well. You know what I mean? So, or else it's not good for you. Now, I'm not saying that it's that, but I think it's probably, it's very important for us to be able to look at it from that perspective, and then, consider the work that you do. Now, if it was, rodeo riding, there could be that one person standing and the other one, is dead. And that's probably more than likely the cowboy, not the bull, because it's sheer weight, 100 kilos versus 3,000 or 4,000 kilos. It's like hitting a freight train. So now that's why and choosing greatness is just a mindset. It really is. It's just a construct to go, I'm going to give it a shot. With my caravan is to go, I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to choose greatness to go for it, and not just be mediocre. I want it to look beautiful when it's done, and then I can sit back and go, oh, there you go. And I've built this office furniture and a whole bunch of stuff, and all this stuff that I like to do, just while my spare time. But and it's the same with coaching. We want to go for it, right? So just choose greatness or go for it. That should be the first part of your 10,000-hour journey, so to speak. So.
Great, good. What's next?
Number 2, I think it's important to practice your craft. And what I mean with that, you've got to. Sure, you can choose to do the 10,000 hours, but you need to do the 10,000 hours, right? So you got to practice it. These guys, what are they doing on their spare time? They're practicing. The Easter show is coming up, and I like to go and watch when I go to this show, but I try not to get there often. But when I do go to it, I like to go and see those guys doing the wood chopping and stuff like that. And I'm not picking up the axe and doing what they do. Those guys are continuously, training for it and building up their stamina and building up their muscle and building up their technique. And it's the same thing. You just got to, practice. The guys in Formula One are sitting in the simulator every other minute that they have. They're exercising every other minute they have. They're talking cars and, all of this stuff continuously. And then the race is only like 50 laps. It's over in, like under an hour. So, all of that practice, for that, they do a lap in less than a minute. So, you've got to think about it, and so you really need to, get that happening.
Put the time.
Well, you've got to put the time in. Time and effort, learning, researching. If you want to build a good business, you need to research it, right? You need to ensure that, it's, you need to kind of get that happening. With business, there's a lot to learn. It's not just one thing. There's a lot to learn. So, I think you've got to put in the practice, right? So,
yeah, I think a lot of it too is putting in that time. And they say this with sports people, putting in the time when no one's watching. It's not what you're doing during the day or game day per se. It's what you're doing for the other 6 days a week when it's
very much so. Yeah, you're not hopping on the bull for 8 seconds and that's all you've done all year.
And that's right. That's right. We watch sports players. Doesn't matter what code it is, AFL, NRL, doesn't matter. They're all doing the time 6, 7, 8, 9 hours a day, 6 days a week, and then they're playing on the game day. So they are working at fine-tuning their craft. They're doing the practice. They're putting in the time. So it's for you and your business. It's what are you doing after the day-to-day of what you're doing. Let's say you're an electrician. You might be putting, up ceiling fans and wiring lights and switchboards and that sort of thing. If you're wanting to grow a business, what are you doing outside of that time to actually work on growing your business? Are you learning about, improving your profitability? Are you learning about sales? Are you learning about how to drive the upsells with the rest of your team? Are you learning how to market more effectively?
Very much so.
This is the
very much so.
Doing the work in the background, not necessarily when it's game time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, perfect.
What's the third point?
The third point, I think, is, get back on the bull, so to speak. You're undoubtedly going to fail in something. You do a marketing campaign that doesn't work. There's, something in sales that you thought was going to get, over the line and, and it doesn't happen for you. There's, stuff ups that happen on the job. There's, the 1,000 possible things. What I notice the most with these guys even though they fell off, or the bull bucked them off, or whatever, they smashed them into the fence, and these things are crazy, right? Like as soon as they open the pen, the bull actually starts jumping and doing what it does, and spinning really close to the fence, and the fence is metal like this, it's the pen that opens up like that, and it's in this little chute. So even when it's in it, the thing's like this, like the rider's like that, and they're trying to hold him up, and this thing's ready to go because it's angry, it's already pissed. It wants to get this guy off him, and so one of those things are, but they all, whether they hit the deck hard or they flung off, and they, jumped up onto the fence to get out of the way of the bull, and all of that stuff. I mean, you're going to fail. I mean, failure is a part of it. It's not often that they do 8 seconds. It's a long time, like when you really think about it. So you've got to think that you need to get back on the bull. So what if you fail? So what if business doesn't go according to plan? So what, maybe if you even go bankrupt or go broke? If you're working towards mastery, understanding the way to go, understanding that you've gone broke, and understanding why you've gone broke is a critical component. So you've also got to think about it from the perspective of how do we make sure that that's a part of it. By the way, your chances of going broke a second time are really, really slim, because now you've learned how to, not do that. I think it's important that it's kind of a part of the journey. Now, I'm not saying go broke, right? God forbid, but it's more to understand that sometimes you're going to fall flat on your face. These guys, when the bull flings them off, wherever they are, they're landing. That's why they got, the soil's like this, so it's kind of semi-spongy at some level. And they're wearing kind of, a vest,
protective
gear and a helmet, and all of this stuff. So they're getting ready for impact, and they're getting ready to fall off. I mean, the thing's uncontrollable. Most people lasted about 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Only the superstars are. And these guys are all pretty high up in doing that. So, and I've failed in business. We've done campaigns where we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they've failed. And, it hurts. Believe you me, when that, the cowboy hits the ground and, rodeo rider hits the ground or gets smashed into the fence, it hurts. There's no doubt. Your ego hurts even worse. Some guys were pissed that, they fell off too quick, or, I didn't know, but if you touch the bull, just touch it. That's it. It's a disqualification.
Oh, right.
And this thing's, flinging you around like a rag doll. So even if you just go like that to try to save yourself. So some guys were like on the side of the bull like this without touching it. It's insane, right? So,
wow.
You once again, expect failure, and then to maybe have to, kind of deal with it, and you got to get back on the bull. That's it. I didn't say it's going to be 10,000 hours of rainbows and butterflies.
No,
it doesn't work that way. So.
There's an element of resilience there, isn't there? Where you're really having to learn it's almost like learning to fail. You can't expect to do 10,000 hours smoothly, surely, with anything. Doesn't matter what you're learning how.
Doesn't matter what
how to scuba dive, learning how to water ski, learning how to ride a bull.
I mean, you're right. I can ski. And I remember when we were barefooting and learning to barefoot. There was 10,000 hours of pain there. I can tell you that.
10,000 face plants.
It literally is that, because with barefoot, there's no in between. It's like either you're up or you're smashing yourself into the water at 6 kilometers. I can't tell you how many. A shoulder had it. Face feels like someone just punched in the face. It's like that, and you're bouncing uncontrollably. But it's a great feeling when you go, I'm going to plant my feet, and then I'm skating across the water with nothing on it. It's an incredible feeling. Once you do it and do it, you just get better at it. Then I let go before I'm smashing into the ground. You sort of know, and it's crazy. And I could barefoot before. Not now, but now I'm just the neck brace. That's what's going to happen now. Right? So I wouldn't even dare considering it. Some of my mates last time we took a ski boat out, the water was like glass. I'm like, "Come on, boys, you ready for a barefoot?" And they're all looking like that. They're like, "You serious? It's too cold." We're the old bulls now. Don't worry about that.
The old bulls. That's funny.
Yeah. So that part there, I think you got to get back on the bull, right?
Very good. What else have you got?
Number 4 is, just do 8 seconds at a time. Don't try to master everything within your business, straight up. It doesn't work like that. You got to do a little bit at a time, learn, apply. You say it the best, learning without application means nothing. You know what I mean? You've got to learn your craft. You've got to learn to understand business. You got to learn to see, what's coming. You got to, figure out, different elements of what's happening with the business. You've got to apply stuff and just do it in small bite-sized chunks. That way, you're not committing yourself too much that you're going to have a problem if things kind of go the wrong way, right? Or any of these type of things. So I think it's important that you take it in speed. With business, it's going to cost you a chunk of money if, you commit yourself the wrong way and you haven't spent enough time kind of learning, and because you're going to make mistakes along the way. Fuck, we all make mistakes. Like it's how it works. You know what I mean? So 8 seconds at a time. These guys, all they look towards is 8 seconds, and pretty much at the 8 second mark, they're jumping off or they're getting flinged off, one or the other. They're not hanging out for another 4 minutes on this thing. It's like hard to get to the 8 seconds. So push yourself to get to the 8 seconds, but you don't need to do more than the 8 seconds. Just you don't need to try to expose yourself. If you're going to do a marketing campaign, don't spend every last dollar on it. Just test it, see what it's like. If you're going to employ somebody, you don't need to employ 50 people at one year. Just test and see what it's like. If you've got a new person that's coming on board, with you, don't be silly enough and go, I'm going to give them the key to the kingdom, and then, not measure them and monitor them and spend time with them and do all of that type of stuff. You absolutely need to, make sure that it's, 8 seconds at a time. It's important. Yeah. So
I think you need to be okay with it taking time as well.
Yeah, I really like that. You need to be okay with it taking time.
Yeah, years ago, I was impatient. I wanted to learn everything about business coaching, and then some sort of epiphany hit me in the face, and I realized that the best business coaches, business strategists, marketing minds on the planet have been doing it for 25 years or more.
Absolutely.
I'm like, come on, man. I can't be an amazing business coach in 3 years. It doesn't work that way.
You can't. I mean, it's just seasoning, right? It really is.
And I've learned that I need to be okay with it taking time. So now I dedicate to reading books and doing courses and learning slowly. But I know that I'm building this, arsenal, this toolbox of secret weapons that I can use. Yeah, an experience that we can use with people. But you have to be okay with the time.
It's interesting. Dan Sullivan, from the US talks about 25 years as the length of time for a good business. 25 years. Most people want to do it in 3. It takes time. And that's why even with the rodeo guys, there was the junior rodeo stars. And these are kids that are from 8 to 14 or 15 or something like that. And so smaller bulls. But, from a size point of view, for a 9-year-old, there was this little kid, this little 9-year-old. The bull would have looked as big as the top rider bulls. And it's the same. You know what? They give them the same time. It's 8 seconds.
Right.
And this thing was like nuts. It was jumping up and down and trying to kick him. And the guy held on for 8 seconds. I mean, the crowd was crazy, right? But it's 8 seconds because they go, hey, we're training you to do that. Now you can imagine 9, and then some of these, top stars are 25. That's already 14 years. He must have been doing it for 3 or 4 years already to be already at that level, at that state level, to be able to do, compete in this particular event.
Yeah.
So I'm figuring it's 15 to 18 years starting there every day. That's what you do. You practice and you ride, and these guys are pretty crazy. So when they're getting to the 25, they would have had 10,000 rides on this thing, and they figured it out. No, sort of figured it out anyway. But they understand how to move and how to put their body right, and what the bull's going to do, and it's all of that type of stuff. So you got to, with your business, you need to really find out what it's about to do. You know what I mean? The 8 seconds just goes, can I react quick enough to be able to go, all right, shit, I can see the environment. There's an opportunity. Do I take it? Is there a gap in the marketplace that I can sit? There's all of these sort of areas that you should think about with business, So.
Yeah, good. Cool. And,
Very
you know,
important.
we've said before, business is a marathon. Don't expect to race it really quickly and win. It's going to take time. Dan Sullivan said perfectly, 25 years, you know, be willing to put in the time. That's the point.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think, you know, number 5 then is be humble. It was really humbling to see these riders, even after they've done the 8 seconds, or, you know, the guy that won the 30,000, he's like, you know, like to be in front of all these fans is pretty amazing. This guy's like, you know, Pan Pacific champion, you know, Australian champion, all of these, you know,
Right.
the pedigree is pretty decent, right?
Sure.
And you could see he made it almost look easy, you know, as if he could make that look easy. But, you know, the 3 times that he rode was all 8 seconders, you know, like, and the points were good. And, you know, they get all of these points and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But he was really humble. You know, he thanked the guys that own the bull, you know, all of that type of stuff. And, you know, because the bull goes through, you know, a pretty tiring situation as well, right? Even though it's, you know, like a bull, but still. Yeah, so you know, he was just really humble. Didn't carry on and run around and high five everyone. No, he just, you know, took his hat off, just went like that once, and that was it. Not even all the rides. It's once he won the money, he was just thanks, and, you know, he's got on the microphone, you know. So, and I think that shows unconscious competence. You know, like when you're that good that you know that you don't need the praise in order for you to, you know, be able to kind of be a rock star at the same time. You know what I mean? Like it's there's that opportunity there to go, man, I already know what I am. And, you know, the praise is cool, but it's not necessary. And I think that's being humble. You don't need to, you know, carry on like, you know, you're an Instagram model to, you know, get all of this, you know, attention seeking. You don't need any of that stuff. You know, you're already
be humble.
You already know, because humility, I think, makes you go towards greatness. With Samurai, it was an honor to be able to kill your opponent with your sword. An honor. It's on the person that was the victor. It was a spiritual honor to behead somebody that lost. You know, to go, you know, I helped them on to the afterlife, and like it's crazy, right? It's like at that level stuff, you know. So that's why with the sword and stuff, they, you know, they took it as a whole other level of, I suppose, endowed honor to them. You know what I mean? Like it's important for samurai to understand it at that level. And you see a lot of the warriors today, the boxers or the, you know, karate guys or whatever, they're very humble in the way that they did it. You know, don't worry too much about MMA because they've glorified that into a, you know, entertainment sport. But, you know, the true guys are a little bit different. So.
Yeah, very good. I think humility, like you said, is very important. You almost attract, with humility, after you've done the time, you attract the next generation as well. So the next generation of business owner or water skier or bull rider, or, you know, people will look up to you as a role model to then go, oh, I want to do what you did, or I want to be like you. How did you get there? You know, even if you look at someone like 𝗕𝗫𝗆, who's just announced retirement last week, you know,
Exactly.
she's only 25, but she's probably, you know, she's probably hit the ball 10,000 times or more, I'd imagine. But, you know, she's got a certain level of humility to her, of being humble, grateful, particularly. She's going to be the role model for the next level or the next generation of, you know, female tennis players in this country, no doubt. If she was, you know, cocky and arrogant, I don't know if she'd attract the same sort of like-minded tennis players. So, yeah, I think humility's really one of those key factors.
Yeah.
Can you roll through sorry, you go.
Yeah, I've just got one more to add to that. I think it's, you know, it's okay to be rewarded, but be okay with the reward. Cool. You know, it was good for him to win $30,000. They've worked hard to be at that level. For you as a business owner, it's good to make money. It's good to grow your business. It's good to take time off. It's good to be okay with that reward, because a lot of people are not okay with that reward. You know, even with me working on the caravan and stuff, I don't take it as hard work, even though I'm spending hours and hours and hours on it. I'm actually okay with the I'm okay with the reward because I kind of like, what I'm doing with it. I think it's important to really be in a situation where it's okay to be, you know what I mean, like cool with it. So a lot of people, they're not okay to get reward, or they feel like they're out of place to do that. It's cool to be humble, but it's also good to acknowledge yourself for what you've been able to achieve. And I think that also makes you enjoy the 10,000 hours more. It feels good when you can do it. I just recently got my grading for level 2 in Krav Maga, and man, I've worked hard towards it. A year of training, one-on-ones, practicing, sore joints and busted fingers, and getting punched in the face, and all of these things, and it feels good, man. But hopefully today I'll get my patch, and it'll be pretty awesome. So you got to be okay with being rewarded. So I think that's
good. So let's roll through the list very quickly just to wrap up.
So number 1, choose greatness. Number 2, practice your craft. Make sure you get the hours in. Number 3, get back on the ball. Failure is part of the journey, right? Number 4, just do 8 seconds at a time. Stretch yourself out. Make sure you can do it, but you don't need to do that much more. Number 5 is, be humble. It's always good to have humility with you. And number 6, be okay with the reward.
Very good. Guys, hopefully this has been really valuable for you. I love these sorts of conversations where we relate it to an experience and tie it back to the business. Hopefully it's got you thinking about the 10,000 hour principle for you and for your business. If you want any help or have any questions, shoot them through to ask@upcoach.com.au or get in touch on any of our social channels. Thank you once again, Nick.
No problem.
And we'll see you all again and speak to you all again in the next episode of Coaching Conversations. Bye now.
Yeah.